Hi guys, today we're going to check what happens if a watermelon is placed on an anthill. For example, if we offer a watermelon to our formidable alibi, then he doesn't react to it at all. Another thing is the hype raccoon. This one is immediately interested in the treat. It just sniffs it right away, and then it begins to chew seeds. Here is who has a real research instinct, and the raccoon obviously likes the taste of the watermelon. We will soon find out how the ants will react to such a treat. We choose a clear day and go into the forest. We are going to feed red forest ants. At the same time, we will help them replenish food stocks. The ants settle comfortably in an old stump on a hill. Here they are not afraid of any rain. So let's move on to feeding, and let's try to find out what ants will prefer to poppy seeds or sesame. We open the package and put the grains into a test tube. The volume of both products is approximately the same. Now let's find out which grains they will pull out faster. We put it on a stub and start observing. Two ants literally immediately climb into a test tube with sesame seeds. But both go out without taking even a grain. For many ant species, poppy is a real delicacy. Does the red forest ant go crazy over it or not? We'll find out soon. Plus, as we know, they eat insects, but they also love sweet and protein foods, and grains are just a source with a rich protein content. And so the first ant grabs a few poppy seeds and drags them. But it's changed its mind and throws them next to the test tube. None of the ants take a grain during an hour. We have expected another result. This time should have been enough to try it out. They just walk around and ignore our treat. If so, we take the test tubes with grain and move on to the sweet. We have prepared some halva and marshmallows for the ant. As everyone knows, sweets are fast carbohydrates and instant calories that are so necessary for energetic ants. Cut each product into pieces. We will leave what they like after filming next to the anthill. We put a piece on a stump and start observing. The ants are interested in sweets, but it is still difficult to say why exactly they prefer it. And after 5 minutes, the ants literally stuck around a piece of marshmallow. We will speed up the next 2 hours of observations and show how the ants have coped with the treat during this time. The time-lapse shows that the marshmallow is in priority. For the 2 hours, even the sun has turned around so that we started shooting in the shade, and now the stub is in the sun. And what about the experiment? Ants eat for a long time, but it is obvious what they will choose. Let's expand the choice and add a piece of meat to the already existing products. It's quite small and goes along approximately with halva and marshmallows, and also fish. Cause how we can to do this comparative analysis of meat and without fish? We put additional treats in front of the ants and look, the insects literally immediately attack the meat and fish, so you can't immediately tell where there are more of them. But approximately the ants like the experiment. The meat, in gastronomic terms, has turned out to be so valuable in general that they decide to drag it into the house. Even though there are a lot of ants, it is not so easy to pull it. They immediately drop the meat from the stub and then drag it into the hole. But we don't like the situation because we are also shooting a time-lapse in parallel. Therefore, we return the piece back to the filming area. But the ants do not care about our shooting, they need to replenish their stocks. After a while, they steal the meat again. And then they take up the fish and also put it into the anthill. While we are filming the time-lapse, we have guests. The squirrels come to look at the experiment. Or maybe it's hungry. We want to treat it, but the red-haired shy animal disappears into the green foliage. Back to the ants, and let's look at the time-lapse how the ants are dealing with the products. In total, we still have a piece of marshmallow, a piece of halva, a piece of fish is stolen, a piece of meat is stolen. How boring! Vary the choice for ants and add some eggs. Chicken or quail, which one will the redwood ants prefer? The most valuable and useful in an egg is the yolk. That's why we will offer it to insects. We pinch off a little from each and send it to the stub. The first ants appear on the quail. After 5 minutes, the situation has changed and there are already more hungry mouths on the chicken yolk. But the meat and fish have already been dragged into the hole while we have been preparing a new product. In fast motion, it looks like this. For 2 hours, almost all the products have remained in place, so we have figured out the culinary preferences of forest ants during the first day. The next day, there is nothing left on the stub. This is good, because we have prepared a watermelon for the ants. It's the most central product of the entire video. Everyone has seen some ants on the watermelon waste. And what about the redwood ants? Watermelons do not grow in the forest, so this is an imported product for them. They definitely haven't eaten it yet. We cut out a small piece. Otherwise, we saw their eating speed yesterday. Even this will be enough. As soon as the watermelon appears on the anthills, the first who wants to try it has appeared. While the one is tasting the ripe part, the other is drinking the juice from the green skin. To our surprise, it is the juice of the peel that the ants have chosen. And we thought they would prefer the sweet part. And so all the ants that come up drink only green juice. Even 3 hours of time-lapse have turned out to be incredibly boring. We will leave this piece of watermelon for a day, and tomorrow we will come back and see what remains of it. To our surprise, the watermelon has been completely covered with ants after 24 hours. Have they tasted it? Moreover, the sweet part of the watermelon is eaten with great appetite. 1 day is clearly not enough to cope. The size of the piece turns out to be greater than the ants' capabilities, or they need more time. A day later, the watermelon is no longer on the stub, but it has been lying there for 2 days, so there is a wet place from it. The piece itself has been pulled aside and eaten so well. There is no top of the pyramid anymore, but there are a lot of traces from the mandibles of ants. Watermelon, of course, is not meat, so they eat it for a long time. And if you remember that the previous products were eaten in a day, then they have to tinker with the watermelon. We won't return to the forest. We received the answer to the question of how an ant interacts with a watermelon. Today is all for now. Bye-bye!